And that was what completely changed my life. It mentally, physically, I just found a complete new level of mental and physical strength that I never knew existed, because I go from being pregnant to living in a hospital for 21 days, fighting for someone else.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Brian Orr, aka DJ Twist, and you are listening to the Twist Life podcast. My guest today is Tonia O'Neill, who is a certified personal trainer, fitness enthusiast, and an author. Tonia, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. I am super excited to share my story and where I've been and where I am now.
Okay, great. So let's start with a very basic intro, and then we'll get into what I refer to as the twist in your life. So can you just tell some people what you're doing right now?
Sure. I am actually a certified personal trainer. I have transitioned my life from doing one-on-one coaching to doing strictly online coaching. That seems to be a better platform for people right now. It's a little bit easier to navigate. So I have, again, transitioned from strictly one-on-one to online coaching for people, helping with nutrition, workouts, and supplementation.
Okay, great. Can you talk a little bit more about where you came from? And I guess probably we can just get right into the major twist in your life, at some point in your life that caused you to, reevaluate yourself or the world, or some type of experience that was a major catalyst into possibly a new trajectory.
Sure, absolutely. Well, originally I'm from Georgia. For
No,
those
you can hardly tell.
that don't recognize the accent, although I don't think I have an accent. I'm normal to myself, so there's that. But I have always been an athlete. I've always been super competitive. In fact, I'm still an athlete. I still play sports even today. And I've always been in and around gyms, fitness, just overall health and wellness in life. To start off my story, in 2012, found out that I was pregnant with my third son. My two older sons, well, they were still young then, but that was from a previous marriage. Found out I was pregnant in 2012 with another little boy, super excited. Well, about 19 weeks, my water broke. And that changed the whole trajectory of what was going to happen. I was terrified because I didn't experience that prior. So having my water break was definitely something that I didn't understand. I didn't experience that. Well, I soon found myself lying in a hospital bed for 21 days, fighting to save the life of my unborn son, Beckett. I was so scared. I was confined to a hospital bed. I had compression sleeves wrapped around my legs. My veins with my arms all eventually collapsed. And it was the hypothetical situations that I conjured up in my head that just had my world spinning. And not being able to get up, I was allowed to get up once a week to take a shower, and that was it.
Wow.
So I laid completely flat for the duration of my hospital stay. Fast forward 25 weeks and one day, my nurse came into my room. Doctor rushed in right after her with this huge sense of urgency. I was just terrified because I knew something was terribly wrong. My doctor would go on to explain that Beckett's heart rate was crashing and that they needed to take him now. I am literally screaming inside. It's not time. It's still too early. His body was just still so small, and he developmentally just not where he needed to be. And immediately I am rushed to the OR. And I can remember as I laid on the operating table, just staring blankly into space, tears just rolling down my face. I was completely numb to my life in that moment. Beckett would end up being born. He weighed 1 pound, 4 ounces,
Wow.
and he was 21 centimeters long. And to put that in perspective for people, that's 8 inches. It's so tiny. His body was just so incredibly small. But the problem was he just didn't have enough time. He was running out. He wasn't responding well to his medications. He just it just was too early. And so 2 days later, he ended up passing away. And that was what completely changed my life. It mentally, physically, I just found a complete new level of mental and physical strength that I never knew existed, because I go from being pregnant to living in a hospital for 21 days, fighting for someone else, not only fighting for myself, but going through the motions of the thoughts that you go through and the prayers, and just wanting so badly for it to work out in your favor and that you're there long enough. And the mental struggles that I went through were nothing like I've ever experienced before. So when Beckett had passed away, then came new struggles, because then you go through grief and anger and the whys. And I ultimately ended up throwing myself back into the fitness industry, because that was all I knew. Even though back then I wasn't a personal trainer, I still was very active with myself and playing tennis and daily workouts at the gym. So for me, all I knew was to go back to the gym. I wanted to isolate myself as much as possible, but I knew that I needed to get out because I needed to do something. I just couldn't lay around and mope and be sad and depressed. So I felt like for me, the next step to reclaiming my life was to get back into the gym. And I was really struggling, even though I was still early on in 25 weeks, not super big as far as size goes. But because I was confined to a hospital bed and I had so much fluids being pumped into me, and I didn't get up, my body really was shutting down from being so sedentary for so long. I gained a lot of weight just based on the fact that I was immobile. And I was really struggling afterwards, because I didn't want people to see me and think that I looked pregnant, or wonder if I just had a baby, because I delivered a baby that I didn't get to bring home. And that was such a big reality for me. And I wanted to be normal again, as much in my mind as I could be outwardly, at least, if nothing else, because I didn't want people asking. And so I literally just went straight back into the gym, started working out a whole lot. I was losing a lot of weight. I was withering away. People were really concerned.
You lost a lot of weight. You were withering away, and it sounds like you kind of went from one extreme, even though it wasn't a choice, being maybe overweight, out of shape because of the situation that you were in, and to conquer that, you went so far the other way and landed on the like emaciated type side. Can you explain what happened then?
Yes, that is exactly what happened, because it was all I knew. For me, I had to stay busy, and the only thing that I knew to do was to be active inside the gym. And ultimately, I knew my body. I knew the struggle was going to ultimately be okay. And the situation that I was in was temporary. It was my grief process. It was how I dealt with the situation and the loss of my child. And so as time went on, I decided that I wanted to do fitness competitions. Again, it was just another thing to keep my mind busy, to have an outlet for my loss. I ultimately decided to do a couple fitness competitions, and that is where I was able to transition the weight loss and being so thin to getting back to a normal eating pattern, to working out on a structured plan, making sure that I was doing more supplementation for where I was lacking over the past year. And ultimately, that was what enabled me to get healthy
Right.
and to a normal physical state. Mentally, it took years. It took a long time for me to not really find peace, because I think I found that early on, but just being comfortable around people and feeling like people were isolating me just because they were uncomfortable. I was
Right.
uncomfortable. They don't, people just aren't really sure what to say or how to act or what to do. And it puts you in a difficult situation at times.
Hmm.
So ultimately, the fitness
The
journey of
competitions is what kind of,
competitions is what helped me. And I really feel strongly that when we have struggles in life or we are grieving someone, something, anything that's turmoil in your life, that grief, that fitness is what will propel you and help to push you out of a situation. And I feel like that it is honestly the next step for people to help them reclaim their life. And
wow.
that's what I feel is important. So once I started doing the competitions, I ended up doing some certifications, getting certified to train people, because I love to help people. I want to help people, and feel like we all go through struggles in life. Someone's struggle may not be my struggle, and vice versa. But because we all deal with things in our own way, fitness is a great way to pull it back in and
Like a
reclaim your life.
universal prescription for whatever the situation is. Yeah, that's really good. It's amazing that you're able to tell that story now. I have a couple of questions for you about that. Like you mentioned, a lot of different people are going through a lot of different situations at all times, and as a father now, that losing a child, I can only imagine, right? So, when you talk about your grief process, if you were to put it into perspective for somebody who might be struggling with something right now, can you talk to that person who might have just had a terrible loss or might be going through something terrible, and how they can see the light at the end of the tunnel, how to clear that fog? Not necessarily that they will achieve it tomorrow, but maybe give them some direction on steps to take to get some clarity and some peace.
I think it's very important to understand that you have to allow yourself grace. We are our own worst critic. We tend to be harder on ourselves as a general rule than anyone else. And I feel like if you are struggling or going through a difficult situation, then you have to allow yourself grace in knowing that you will come out on the other side. There's no deadline. You don't have to have a set date for things being better for you. It may take you a month, it may take you years. And for me, I found that there are gifts. Grief offers you gifts, and you have to be open to accepting blessings that you probably never knew existed. And with that, ultimately, life will begin, and you will live again more and more as time goes on.
Is that something that people should look for internally or externally, or a combination?
I think you definitely have to do both. I think from an internal perspective, we have to be cognizant and aware of our struggles. And with grief in particular, there are 5 steps that you have to go through. And we all go through each one, whether or not they're back to back or in the order that's presented. It's always going to be different per person. But I feel like you have to understand things will get better, but allow yourself time. And reach out to people if that is your method. For me, interestingly enough, when I wrote my book, I had not shared my story with anyone. It took 7 years before I decided to tell my story. And I kept it to myself. I'm a private person. But if someone is not, and that's your outlet would be to share your story or to have comfort in other people, whether it's social media, whether it's family, whether it's friends, you have to do whatever you have to do for yourself during those difficult times. Going back to the physical part, I feel like being physical and active is important in life anyway, whether or not you're struggling with things or not. I'm a proponent of that. But I do feel like in certain situations, if you have stress, if you have struggles, trials and tribulations, then even going out for a walk is helpful. You may not want to jump straight into the gym and be super active, but doing something is a great stress reliever. It gives you a little sense of peace and calmness that you may not have if you're sitting at home and overthinking things.
Right. So let's talk about the process of you writing the book then. 7 years later, you decide you're going to tell your story, but you're not just going to like tell your neighbor, you're going to write a book and publish it. Can you walk me through that thought process?
Who knew? Yes. And so I went to a convention last year ago in April, and there were a few speakers that were there, and they really drove home, share your story, share your story, share your story. And as I sat in my seat day after day, listening to the majority of the speakers, share your story, I remember sitting there and saying, okay, I'm going to share my story. I literally went home, started writing. And just through different people, social media, networking, I was able to find an editor, a marketing person, a graphic designer. And I wrote my book without having any understanding of how to write a book, had no idea. Never written a book before, but I just started putting what I knew, what I remembered down on paper. And from that point, once I felt like I was at a place of, I'm not sure where to go from here, I feel like I've covered a lot of the basics of my story. And since I've never written a book, I need some guidance at this point. Is my book worthy of publishing? Is it worthy of someone to spend time reading? Reached out to an editor, sent her what I had already written. She came back and said, yes, I think that it would be a great opportunity to share in your experience with other bereaved parents, because it does happen more than we think it does. Whether it's a miscarriage, stillbirth, infant loss, it's not just generalized. There are a lot of different circumstances that come within the category of losing a child. Fast forward, we spoke several times. She helped to get certain things in place with the book, giving me more ideas, food for thought, so that I was able to get in enough information. And that was what happened. So I started in April and it was published in December.
Wow.
So it took me personally probably about 2 months, maybe 3 months to actually write the book. And then as we went along, I was able to add in a little bit more information, cover more basics for someone that's going through the process as well. What my thoughts were, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, what might work for someone else, and vice versa.
And that book is called 21 Days.
21 days.
Yeah, the subtitle is My Story of Finding Peace After an Unspeakable Loss. And that's on Amazon right now, or bookstores on Amazon?
Amazon, paperback. It's a really quick read, super quick, Amazon or Kindle. And of course, the graphics on this wasn't interesting. This was not what I had intended when I started this process, but these are my child's footprints. Those are the actual size. And I also have those tattooed on my wrist. but that's how small his feet were when he was born.
Wow.
So and the 21 days comes from the fact that that was the length of time that I was in the hospital.
Wow. That's amazing.
I think sharing my story, even if no one read it, it's such a release for me. It's been therapeutic. Even though I experienced the loss, I went through the struggles and the grief and the depression while being in the hospital, the changes in my body, and then of course not being able to bring my child home. But I think that has almost propelled me forward more. I feel so much more peaceful and have a sense of calmness where I can share my story now and not cry. I can explain my situation to someone that may just want to talk or share their story with me. And I can certainly empathize with anyone that has gone through it or that will go through it. And that's what is super important to me, is being able to share my story, because I understand, but I truly just want to help people. I want them to know that they're not alone. There are a lot of people that have lost their children, and there is light at the end of the tunnel.
That's good. That's really good. Wow. I love the footprints. That's incredible. I love your mindset too about, you know, the way that you've challenged your grief head on, you know, taken it in the time that you needed to, gone through the paths that you needed to, whether it was fitness, whether it was the psychological, emotional, writing your book and really getting that extra sense, that extra surgence of peace, like you mentioned. And it sounds like in this, what you've discovered is your passion to help people, whether it be through escaping or battling through grief, or on their fitness journey, and because that's what you see as such a great tool to help through. So that brought you to the point now where you're a personal trainer, and I'd imagine that you work a lot with people that have whatever type of limiting beliefs in your personal training business. Is that do you do a lot of one-on-one, that figuring out what what's limiting them from accomplishing their physical goals?
Absolutely. Everyone has a different reason, excuse for not working out, or they have some injuries or health issues. I deal with people of all ages, all sizes, men and women. It's very, very broad when it comes to that, because I am able to do a lot more with online. I have groups set up in Facebook where I go through different nutritional information in there, helping people understand the concept of needing to track your calories and understanding what a macronutrient is, and explaining how important your protein, carbs, and fats are to your daily routine. And we don't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't have to have a fad diet in there. I want people to understand that I want you to be normal when it comes to your nutrition and your daily habits. I don't want any craziness going on. It's less is more. Let's keep it simple. And that's what I tend to preach when it comes to helping people, especially nutritionally, because that is ultimately the biggest struggle for people and the hardest thing for people to understand and wrap their head around. And it goes from, well, I'm going to try this diet to this diet to this diet. And I'm like, no, let's not. Let's just eat normal. Just keep up with what you're eating, so that way you understand that this over this is better. And that way it makes life a little bit easier. And if you want to have a piece of cake, have a piece of cake. Or if you want pizza, have pizza. But let's track it so that you have a better understanding of where you can take away a little bit. If you're having more calories at lunch, let's take away a little bit at dinner. But we want to make sure people are eating enough protein. I mean, there's so much involved in it that people really don't understand. And because we have social media and lots of sites out there, it's hard to really understand and know who to follow, what to believe, what path to take, and especially if people have struggled the majority of their lives.
Yeah.
And I just like to keep it simple.
Keep it simple. That's really good. I like simple.
Me
Simplicity
too.
helps. So yeah, let's talk a little bit more about the business then. So you're moving to, or you have moved exclusively online. Let you know. It seemed we're in 2020 now. Online is the way to go for most businesses. Talk to me a little bit about how you set up your business, how you market your business, how how you acquire clients, from a business, from strictly business standpoint.
Originally, I was doing one-on-one. I moved recently. And so, of course, that move, I had to lose my clients. Then I was in a situation where I'm in a new town, a new place. So, what am I going to do now? And I ultimately decided that I was going to do online. I was going to decide to create a website, which I have with my services. It also has my book on there. And I do help people just one-on-one coaching without a fee a lot of times because I truly just want to help people. That's what it boils down to. But I do have services for people that really are ready to have someone hold them accountable and really work on getting their nutrition in order, making sure they're doing their supplementation for where they're falling short throughout the day, and then making sure people are doing workouts. I'm a big proponent of taking pictures weekly. I'm not necessarily so much involved in getting on the scale because I feel like the scale is a little bit of a misrepresentation
No,
of
I agree.
the changes that your body goes through. And having a photograph of yourself is a much better way to see what's going on, simply because we look at ourselves every single day and we don't notice those small changes, and they're happening, and the scale may not represent the changes that you're going through. And I'm like to tell people that, you're not going to see changes, and probably, 4 to 6 weeks is the guesstimate, but it could take a little bit longer depending on what you're doing. But
And
I
how well
do,
they're committed to their own
yes,
diet, their own choices.
yes,
Because there's only so much you can put on a trainer.
right.
That
And their honesty. That's
yeah.
where, I tell people, using a tracking tool for your food, just be honest. Just be honest about it. Put in everything you're eating. If you're having cake, put in cake. If you're having some wine or alcohol or whatever, just put it in. It's for you. It's not for anyone else.
Oh, but
And
people lie to themselves more than
it,
anybody else.
exactly. And that is the hardest part.
One of the tricks I used to use, I used to train many moons ago, and I used to use, not a trick, but one of the measurements I would use is clothes fitting. So, how do your clothes feel this week versus last week? Use
Yes.
the same pair of jeans, or whatever it is, that something that has a tighter waistband that's not going to, not an elastic waistband, something like that. So put on those same pairs of jeans
Yes.
every single week, and that's, the scale is never going to tell you that. But like you said, the photos, or I feel like certainly how your clothes feel and fit, and fit is definitely a good indicator of progress
Yes,
for
I
sure.
100% agree with you. And that's what I do. That's how I gauge my changes that I go through. I have a scale, but it's just because people have scales.
Yeah, people like metrics. You like metrics, if you feel
But it
comfortable with
really,
metrics, it's a definitive thing, but it doesn't necessarily represent what it's meant to represent.
right, right. So I have my Facebook group that I do post in, trying to keep people motivated on tracking there. There's obviously there's no charge for that. I just pop in, I do lives. If anyone has questions, I try to go through questions that someone may have, because there's just things that people don't know. And I understand that. I'm experienced. I've done a lot of training as far as nutrition, supplementation, and I work out every single day. I rarely will miss a day of working out in some way, shape, or form. So my experience with that is just years of doing it. And I'm able to help people with their fitness journey as long as they are willing to commit and do the work.
Give me 3 action steps to commitment to transforming your sedentary life or moderately active life into a physically fit life. Tell people first 3 things they got to do.
walk outside, inside, however, just get moving. Find, start with 15 minutes a day. Build up. You don't have to start crazy. Just start out doing something, get moving, go outside and walk. There's people that have health issues and things like that, or they're really trying to lose a good portion of weight. I also tell those people, have a goal in mind, have a large goal, but have a small goal, because the big goal is the ultimate picture, but you got to reach that small goal first. And that's where we really want to achieve things slowly. We're not in a race here. We gotta work slowly to get to the large goal, but you've got to say, okay, well, I need to lose 5 pounds. Let's achieve that first. Let's lose 5 pounds. Then let's move forward. Okay, so you want to lose another 5 or 10. That's your next goal. Don't put a big number on it, because the big number just makes you feel defeated when you don't achieve it in the time that you feel like you should achieve it, because you've been doing this and that and working so hard. And then watch your food. The food is the biggest part. Make sure that you're eating what you should be eating, and then water. Get in a gallon of water a day. It's super important. It's great for your gut. It's great for your skin. It releases the toxins out of our bodies. Water is crucial to have every single day.
Great. So get moving in whatever capacity you're physically capable of, to the extent that you are capable of. Then number 2 was set goals, a larger goal and incremental goals to build yourself up. You have, continuous successes. And then 3 is, of course, what you put in your body, your fuel, your nutrition, your hydration. So take those 3 steps to get started on your fitness journey right now. Let's talk a little bit more about the business of, let's say, social media. I'll mention your Instagram here in a little bit, but on your page, there's some, there's pictures with supplements, there's pictures with things that you represent. Are those business relationships? Are those things helping you in your personal training business, or are those just things that you happen to use and love and share? Or can you say?
Both. Both, honestly. I started making videos years ago, and I do that simply to help motivate people. I'm working out anyway, so I take the time to create videos, edit the videos so that they're able to fit into the spectrum of, for instance, Instagram. I try to keep them 15 seconds, just because people can quickly look and then keep scrolling. But I decided to do that just because, like I said, I was already working out, and I just want to create some sort of motivation for people and let people understand that it's not that difficult and you can do it. I am showing you what to do. It's right here.
Right.
And then as far as the supplements, yes, I always encourage people to make sure that they're on track, because we all know that we aren't necessarily eating the best choices. And when you don't eat the best choices, then you're falling short in other places.
Yeah.
So it's important to have a balance, fill in those gaps with supplements when you're not able to eat a whole foods meal at a certain time. You want to make sure you're still getting your protein in. Protein is the greatest source for muscles and to help you lose fat and shed some weight. So I do encourage people to make sure that they have a good understanding of supplementation, the workouts, and then I have some life photos thrown in there sort of sporadically. And then, of course, I really pushed the book towards the end of last year, first of this year a little bit. And now I'm back full throttle into fitness, more so because it's my passion. It's what I do. It's what I love. I want to help people. I want to help people succeed, which sometimes can be a frustrating part of the business as well, because I feel like at times I want it more than they do.
Yeah. Yep.
You just want to shake people and say, I'm trying to help you. Just listen. Just do
Right.
what I'm telling you to do.
I do
I'll
that with
make
my
it
4-year-old all
simple.
the time.
I
I feel the same.
Yes. But social media is a great outlet. It is a great way for me to put myself out there and allow people to understand that it's not that complicated. You can just do basics as long as you're moving.
Have you been getting clients through your social media?
I do get clients through social media.
Okay.
So I'll get people that reached out through social media. People will check out my website. It's across the spectrum. I get Instagram. Facebook
Yeah.
is a bigger platform for me because I've been on it longer. But I'm teetering into other things. I just started posting my videos to Pinterest,
I was getting ready to ask you about your TikTok videos.
TikTok. I'm there. I
Well,
mean, if we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it.
yeah, so let me get back to a business question first, and then we'll get on to a social question. So from a business standpoint, talking about acquiring clients, talking about monetizing your passions, given the current climate, there's a lot of people who are considering this as an opportunity to put themselves out there to the world, to tell their story, to write their book, or to start putting their fitness videos online or cooking videos online, or whatever. The reason why I brought up the supplements is because I was thinking in terms of affiliate marketing and relationships with brands, and possibly tying in ways to monetize what you're already doing. That's what something that you mentioned. I'm already doing it, so if I figure if I can put it out there, it can help me in other ways as I'm helping people. So that's kind of what I'm curious about in your path here as you're putting it out there. Are you reaching out to maybe complementary services or brands or that type of thing that's going to help this affiliate marketing, the cross promotion, other ways to monetize, especially before you are able to acquire clients and build a full fan base from your social media? Is that something that you that you use to help your business?
I do. I am affiliated with First Form, which is a supplement company. I've been with them for 2.5, 3 years now. And I love the products. Is why I jumped on board with them. I promote the products and I use the products. I would never sell anything or represent any company out there that I didn't 100% believe in. And just the same thing goes with fitness. I'm not going to ask you to do anything that I'm not doing. And that's the same with supplementation. There are certain things that are great supplements for anyone that needs to fill in the gaps, specifically protein and making sure that you're getting in the fruits and vegetables that you need every day. And, I have a few of and nutrients as well, vitamins and minerals. Those are the key supplements that I would suggest to anyone that's just getting started. And then there's a multitude of other supplements as you're going along if you're looking for something more specific, designed for a certain element or like joint or eye or heart, things like that. So I do have the affiliate with the supplementation company. As far as anything else, I don't. I was a trainer at a local Gold's Gym where I moved from. I was teaching classes there, so I was able to utilize the brand of Gold's Gym. But now I'm not there, so there's that.
Yeah, it's important, I think. And I just spoke with somebody a little bit earlier about entrepreneurship, and we were talking about the importance of collaboration. So whether it's with other brands or with other people who have complementary businesses, maybe I'm talking now specifically to people who are considering, creating their platform for their thought leadership,
But I
whether it's
do think there's opportunities.
yeah, it's
There's
out there right now.
opportunities.
Yeah, and certainly look for collaborations with supplements that you're already using or clothes that you're already wearing. If you're going to be posting pictures every day and building an audience, why not wear, I don't know, Nike's kind of out of the realm, but like a local, let's say Nike, and then all of a sudden
Right.
you have 1 million followers. Nike's going to start paying you for those posts. So I definitely brand affiliation, collaborations is key right now, and that's a great way for people to leverage as a lot of things are moving online and digital and social.
Right. I totally agree with you.
Now let's get on to the TikTok. Now, only because you've told me, I would not be able to guess otherwise, but only because you've told me some of your story, I know that you're not a 15-year-old girl. So as not a 15-year-old girl on TikTok, is that the platform to be? I thought it was only for 15-year-old girls.
I mean, I'll just go ahead and tell you, I'm 46. And there are a lot of 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s on there. No kidding. People are making videos on there like hotcakes. And I figured, you know what? I'm just going to join in on the fun. Why not? Let's see what happens. I've only been on it, and I will say this, I've only been on it for about 2 weeks, and I think I've probably posted maybe 6 or 7 videos, and I already have 5,000 followers. It's easier to get followers on there than it is, than it is on Instagram. That's for
Yeah, for
sure.
sure.
But it's a great platform. It's fun if nothing else, and I hopefully will be able to. And I will mention this: people are now following me on Instagram because of TikTok. I probably have gotten maybe about 50 to 60 new followers on Instagram from TikTok, because I specifically have in my bio, if you're looking for fitness tips, go follow me on Instagram.
Yeah.
And so I figured, why not? People are doing it. It's fun. If nothing else, it's entertaining. I delete negative comments because who's got time for all that?
And you're doing are you doing fitness videos? Are you doing?
I'm doing both, actually. The first couple that I did were fitness, and it just didn't, people were, and I deleted those because I thought, well, I've got to figure out how to navigate this. And so I took those down and then created a couple of dancing ones that were trending. And then, so I've sort of fallen into that. And then the last few days I have gone back in and posted a couple workout videos. So now that I have followers, I'm able to create the workout videos as well. But the difference in TikTok is it only gives you a blurb of the videos. So when I create my videos for Instagram, usually I create anywhere from 7 to 10. If 10's the max that I can put on a post. And with TikTok, it consolidates those for you into a minute. So you pick which video you want, add the music to it. It will strategically put them together into one 60-second clip, and then you post that. So people aren't getting the full workout, and some of them are a little longer, some of them are a little bit shorter. But if they want to see the whole video, then they can go to my Instagram where it's posted there, which I like. I actually like that.
And there's a really good strategy point there too. So you tried to enter a new market. You weren't really getting a lot of traction based on your existing message, what you were putting out there with your fitness. So you altered your message, you changed and went to the audience, what the audience was receptive to, which was the dancing videos, the trending videos, that sort of stuff. You were able to build up an audience, and now you can then deliver the message that you want to message. So guys, that's a really, really good point, strategy point. Talk to your customers or your potential customers or your potential followers, and position yourself in the space to gain market share in that space. And then you can worry about, selling whatever you want to sell.
Exactly. Yes. It took me a little bit to understand how the platform works. And it's different, because really you're not posting photographs anymore. Whereas Instagram, you can do both. This is strictly just videos, and either it's a 15-second clip or shorter, or the 60-second max.
Yeah.
So you've got to try to figure out how to navigate yourself into a short clip, but also gain followers. And I'm slowly but surely getting there, but it's fun. And you never know who will come out of that, is the way I look at it.
Yeah. You never know. Just get
who
yourself in front of people, for sure.
who I will reach, and who will ultimately reach out to me wanting help. And so why not? I mean, you might as well
100%.
cover all the bases, right?
Okay, great. So Tonia, what we're going to do now is move into our rapid fire section. I'm going to spit out a few questions, short, quick answers, whatever you can get back to me. We'll run through about 10 or so, and just just for a little bit of fun here. You good for
All
some
right.
rapid fire?
We'll give it a go.
Okay, awesome. All right. What is the best movie ever?
Home Sweet Alabama.
Home
Sweet Home Alabama.
Sweet Home.
That's the first one that I thought of. I don't
Okay.
know. I'm not a movie person. Is that terrible?
No, it's not. That's great. That's the best one ever. Sweet Home Alabama. If you had a time machine, where would you go first?
Australia.
Like present day Australia?
Mm-hmm. Now.
Okay. What would be the name of your biography?
I don't know. My story. I'm terrible at this.
If you could, well, we got a few more. Let's see if we can log it in. If you could have lunch with anyone in the world today, who would it be?
I would probably say it would be someone from my past that I didn't know, some family member that I never got to meet, even though I don't know who offhand. I just would go back and live in their life for a while and understand what they dealt with and the struggles they had and things like that.
You want me to change the answers around and make that your time machine question answer?
Sure. Well, I was thinking, I don't know. I was not thinking time machine when you asked anyway.
Oh, okay. You're thinking teleport machine.
I was thinking
Travel, teleport. Yeah.
travel. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you had a time machine, where would you go first?
That one I still don't know the answer to.
That's that's fine. That's perfect. What is one thing someone can do to instantly get on your good side?
Be kind,
What is the weirdest word in the English language?
y'all. Because I say it all the time. People are like,
Okay.
I don't know. I'm terrible at this. We're going to have to delete this whole part.
No. This is fun. This is fun. What is the most useless talent you have?
Probably singing.
What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Be happy. As long as you're happy,
Yeah.
it makes life so much better.
Talking about unhappy, what is your absolute number one biggest pet peeve?
Liars,
If you were an exercise, what would you be?
a deadlift,
If you could uninvent one thing, what would it be?
sugar.
Oh, nice.
Chocolate.
If you could swim in any liquid besides water, what would it be?
Oh, I have no idea. Coffee?
Okay. Baby penguin or baby giraffe? Kill one.
Penguin?
Everybody kills the penguin. I don't know what.
The giraffe is so big.
Okay, but a baby.
I
You
mean,
probably
even
able to
I
take,
know, but he's
you don't have to fit. You don't have to. Maybe I guess yeah. All right, kill the baby penguin. No problem. Okay, final question. Give advice to your teenage self in 2 words.
move forward.
Nice. I like it. I like it. Tonia, this was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for sharing your story here with us and sharing such great insight on, on the challenges and conquering grief, as well as, changing your perspective, building your business out, how to make TikTok dance videos, and all of that stuff. Oh, I should wait. What's your favorite TikTok dance?
Well, I've only done 2 on there, and one was a Cupid Shuffle because I already knew that one. I didn't have to work hard. And then there was another one that I worked up a sweat. I don't know what it's called, but it's on my TikTok. I tried it. I posted it and said, "Hey, we're going with it."
Okay.
But it's not you gotta, it's like you're working to get these things just right, along with the music, and it's a process. It can take hours.
My goodness.
For one 15-second video.
Unbelievable. That's hilarious. Okay, so tell me your website.
My website is ToniaO'Neill.com.
And it's TONIA
ONEILL.
And if anybody wants to reach out to you about personal advice, whether it be something that they're going through or they read your book or fitness videos, what's the best way for someone to reach you?
Yeah, you can send me a message on any of my social media platforms. You can also send me a message inside my website. I get direct emails that way. Anything that you want to do, whether you want fitness, workouts, nutrition, supplementation, or if you want to share your story. I've had several people that have reached out, social media, sharing their stories with me. We've talked about it, things like that. So that is also an option for anyone that is struggling with loss or grief or anything, and they just want to chat.
Awesome. All right. Thanks again, Tonia. This was great. And I really appreciate you being here. And we'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.